Great. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Ask Me Anything session. We are going to be joined by three amazing Google developer experts. So the session will begin in the next 5 minutes. So just giving people more time to join. But in the meantime, just feel free to tell us where you're joining us from. Uh, give us more information, who you are and what you're more keen on learning. So we'll give the speakers more time to join, but in the meantime, just let us know where are you joining us from and what are you looking forward to hearing about today. Yeah, guess that's it. So the session will begin in the next 5 minutes. We're giving the speakers more time to join. Okay. Maybe Kimon, as we're waiting for other people to join, would you tell us what exactly do you think people would like to know from you?
So one of the things that the most common questions that get asked is what we're going to be talking about in the next hour or so is how do you become a GDE? What do you do as a GDE? And what sort of technical background do you need to know in order to become a GDE? And today with our GDEs, we're going to be talking all about how to do that. But from my side, I'm a South African GDE for Google Cloud, specifically focused on the cloud, sort of the area of Google Developer Expert. And yeah, I see that there's people from all over Africa. I can see Nigeria, Benjamin, who's from Kenya. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. But yeah, hopefully today we can answer some of the questions that you guys have, and at the same time, let you guys know what is a GDE, how do you become a GDE, and what sort of perks do you get as a GDE? Because I think that's what everyone wants to know is what do you gain from becoming a GDE and what you need to do.
Interesting. So maybe let's ask Femi the same question. Femi, what do you think people would like to hear from you? We're giving people more time to join, but what do you think they would like to hear from you? So from Kimoon, he thinks they want to know what does it take to be a GDE and things like that.
Thanks, Alela. Hi, Kimoon. I think it would be the journey, right? The journey to become a GDE, and also what are the benefits or what do you have access to as a GDE? And more than that is beyond being a GDE, what else can you do, right? Being an expert in a specific technology or platform or service. We're going to talk about that today.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so maybe we are a minute to time, but we'd like to just get to know what are you looking forward to hearing. While on the call, I can see you, but what is it that you're looking forward to, learning from Kimoon, Femi, and Dale when he joins? Let us know what it is that you're looking forward to learning. Oh, wow. Just comment it on the chat section. And please do tell us where you're joining from. As we say, the question is going to be an Ask Me Anything session focusing on machine learning and cloud. So if you're an enthusiast and you're curious, you want to know, one, what does it take to be a GD in those particular fields? What are some of the things that you need to do to move from point A to point Z in your career or things like that? Yeah, looking forward to hearing from all of you. Just let us know where you're joining from, what it is that you're looking forward to. It's a 1-hour session. Let's make it as interesting as possible. I guess we'll just get started because we're right on time. My name is Alela. I am a part of the developer relations team at Google, focusing on the Google Developer Experts program. And today I am excited to be hosting 3 GDEs, as mentioned, who are going to be sharing with us some of their journeys, telling us more about what they do and what does it take to be an expert, and also just giving insights, which are very, very important. So looking forward to hearing from all of you on the chat section. If you have things that you want to ask them, please drop them. This is the time you get to ask them any question. Like, it's Brandon asked me anything. So this is the only time you get to ask them anything you want to, that you've always wanted to ask them. Yeah, I guess I'll just take you through the agenda for the day. We are going to, have a very, very smooth operation. So I hope. But a few housekeeping rules. Just be kind to one another. Try to keep away from your phone unless you're tweeting or sharing about the event or what's happening. Another thing is do submit questions. We're going to try as much as possible to answer all the questions that have been submitted, if time allows for us to do so. And I'm going to hand it over to the two amazing guys on the call to just, introduce themselves, because what we have as part of the agenda is just smooth operation. Ask them anything. Yeah, let me hand it to you, Kimun.
Thanks, Alela. So my name is Kimoon. I'm a Google Cloud GDE, and I currently stay in South Africa, Johannesburg. And yeah, my day-to-day operation is software engineering. So I make sure that software works, and at the same time also have a passion for machine learning and big data. So I like to combine all of these aspects, so machine learning, software development, engineering, and all that. And what's cool about the areas that I've talked about is that everything's available on the Google Cloud platform. So yeah, just like Alela said, if there's any questions that you have about cloud, machine learning, just please post it on the comments menu so that we can answer them as much as possible. Personally, from my side, I have been a GDE since 2017, and I'm quite young in terms of the GDE journey compared to Femi and Dale, who's going to be joining us later. But hopefully, we can learn more about them. Over to you, Femi.
Thanks, Kimoon. So I've been GD for 6 years plus, actually it's over 6 years. And I'm currently the CTO at a company called Init. We build amazing products for the enterprise, and I work with an amazing team of engineers. And I've been a GD for 7 years, co-organizer of the Google Developers Group here in Lagos, TEDx Lagos, and I'm also a certified professional cloud architect. And I love doing experiments. My background is in maths. I'm excited to be here because I'm happy to answer questions that you may have around any of the things we're talking about today or something else, right, all around cloud. And also here to learn from some of the questions that you ask, because I don't have all the answers. No one does, right? Even though I've been in tech for roughly 20 years. There's a lot to look forward to on this call because we've got some of the questions and it's just really exciting to answer them on this call. And again, put questions in the chat, we'll answer them. Ask us anything.
Yeah, ask them anything. Thank you so much, Kimoon and Femi. I guess we'll start with the questions that were already submitted. So let me just drive you to the agenda for the day. The introduction has happened. We are going to first start off with questions that were submitted prior to this. And then I'm going to open up to questions from the audience, and then we'll just wrap it up. So on to the first question. Okay, we have met one another. Tell us a little bit about, being a GDE. So what does it take? There is this myth that you have to be have to know it all. So would you do some myth busting on some of the assumptions that people make or some of the things that it takes to be a GDE from your side? I guess we'll start with Femi.
All right, that's a very, very good question. And it's a question that I get a lot for those who are interested in becoming a GDE, right? I'm a GDE for the cloud platform, and if you were to pick the cloud platform itself, it cuts across so many different services and products, right, and features. The idea for me is you need to have foundational knowledge across board, right? That's really, really important. and then you can then focus on specific areas and actually become an expert or grow your expertise in that specific place, and actually deploy solutions, put things out there, whether it's some code, whether it's a YouTube video, some articles around it, that then showcases your ability to do this, and play around the platform. Um, and one of the exciting things about being a GDE, right, is you get to access things faster than anybody else, right? Because you get to play even with stuff before it's outside in general availability, right? And we also get to provide feedback directly to the engineers that are working on those specific products or platforms or features or service, right? Yeah, yeah. I know, Kimon, if you want to add to that or talk about a different thing around that.
Yeah, what Femi said is correct. One thing that I would encourage all of you to do is go to the GDE website and see what areas you want to become a GDE in. So like Femi and myself, we're GDEs for cloud, but there are many other GDE options available to you guys, because there's GDE for Flutter, GDE for I don't know, Android or things. So just go check out and see what is required and see where it fits perfectly with your skill sets. And then once you have done with that, chosen a particular pathway, what you need to do is become sort of an expert in it. So you don't need to have sort of the professional working experience, I would say. I would say play around with the tool, make it your personal project, be familiar, make sure that you know more than anybody else. And at the same time, becoming a GDE is not becoming the know-it-all guy. It's also about community contribution. So write articles, make sure that you guys are presenting, hosting events, contributing, all that sort of things, which is more important to become a GDE than actually knowing, becoming the expert at a particular tool set. So yeah, so from my side, becoming a GDE is more about becoming a GDE is more about the passion of spreading the knowledge as opposed to knowing a particular tool set. But yeah, that's it from my side. There's a question that I would like to answer now, because it says how many years are required to become a GDE? There's no particular years. I would say even if you don't have experience now, you can start now and start contributing, start presenting, start writing articles, and make sure that you keep record of that, so that what you call it, when you start applying to become a GDE, you can use that to say, I have experience with this, I have done this sort of thing. So yeah, it's all about making sure you're the domain expert with the community contributions.
Pretty interesting. So community contributions are key, from what we understand, and you need to keep a record of what you're doing. I think it's also good to note that if you don't speak about your work, then nobody will ever speak about your work. So if you don't share what you know, the knowledge that you have, then there's no way that we will actually know what you're doing. So yeah, thank you, Kibun and Femi, for echoing on the community side. Now, being that both of you are GDEs in the cloud track, so for somebody who's getting started, so this question was submitted. Let's say I'm getting started in my cloud journey. So what does it take to become a GDE in cloud? So what are the things that I need to try to get?
Maybe I can take this question. So I'm going to talk about from my personal experience is that I started with learning about the Google Cloud Platform around 2013, 2012, back when Google Cloud was just compute engine and storage and a couple of databases. And what brought me to the Google Cloud Platform was the new technology, accessing various compute instance over the internet at a click of a button. So from myself, getting that passion was sort of the first step in becoming a GDE, and start using a personal project. So for instance, I spun up my own machine, I started tinkering with it, I started playing around with it. And by only playing around and making sure that you read the documentation, you realize, oh wait, this is how you can do this, and this is not the way to do that. And once you get that sort of experience, what I started to do was start writing articles over the internet. I started contributing, saying, hey, if you want to build a cluster like this, don't build it like this, because you're going to get into trouble, or it's going to cost a lot. So getting into that sort of habit, and also started getting into the habit of presenting and talking at events, was sort of my first journey in becoming a GDE. And once I've gotten comfortable with presenting, I've got comfortable with contributing towards helping other community grow, as well as the cloud community within Google ecosystem. I applied by asking one of the Googlers, saying, hey, I saw there's a track on becoming a GDE for cloud. Would you be able to recommend me in becoming a GDE? So that was sort of my personal experience journey to become a GDE of cloud. I don't know, Femi, I don't know what your journey was like. Maybe if you can talk about, I'm very interested to hear from your side.
Yeah, thanks, Kimoon. My journey is similar, slightly different. So remember I mentioned earlier on that I am a co-organizer for the Google Developers Group here in Lagos. If you are not a member of community of a local Google Developers Group community in your area, you should totally sign up. Just search for Google Developer Groups and you find it, a group near you. So I was one of the organizers. I was the main organizer initially for the Google Developers Group, and finding speakers was quite hard sometimes. Or finding speakers who were willing to discuss beyond getting started with a specific technology or getting started with, those become boring after a while, right? Especially for guys who are not at that level. So I began to learn to do so I could speak at Google Developer Group events in Lagos. And the more I learned, the more I spoke, the more I became interested in learning much more and writing about it and sharing my knowledge with other people. And before I knew it, I was becoming a lot more knowledgeable, right, in the cloud platform, because I picked it up and I focused on that. And it also served me at Init, the company that I work in. And then I got nominated by another GDE at the time, Kenneth, and also a Googler at the time, and then went through the process and became a GDE. So it came from me learning to share, learning to do, and almost like a natural progression from being a regular speaker at events, showcasing what I can do and showcasing what people can learn, and also sharing knowledge, which is most important. More than anything else, I think it's the body of work that I had, and like Kimon has also shown, and like every other GD does, the body of work of articles, of YouTube videos, of codes you put up on code you put up on GitHub or similar platforms, that then speaks on your behalf and helps with the process.
Quite interesting to hear about your journeys. That sounds like, encouraging to anybody who's interested or keen on joining as a GDE. I guess, Kimon, you mentioned that you are into machine learning, so you may be best to answer this question. So how do you know the best machine learning algorithm to use to solve a particular problem? So what are some of the best practices from your knowledge of machine learning that you would tell somebody, what are some of the considerations to make?
So there's lots of myth going around that you can use machine learning to solve a particular problem, or you can solve everything, all the problems that's out there. And sort of the best practice that I've learned is I leave machine learning to the last and try all the algorithms like what you call mathematic functions or optimization, even before using machine learning, because I know machine learning is going to become more sort of, it's not a one size solves all kind of problem. So the first best practice that I usually tell people is, before even trying machine learning algorithm, is there a better way of solving a problem without using it initially? Because it might be the best solutions at first. And once you've answered that question, saying, okay, no other problems can solve this, I need to use machine learning. Now, within machine learning itself, there's variety of sort of problems variety of algorithms that's best suited for a problem. So what I would recommend to you guys would be, there might be, let's say, you want to solve you want to predict certain house prices from the from the data set that you have. And what I would do is say, is there sort of machine learning algorithms out there that people have contributed or that people have used to solve this particular problem? Because at the end of the day, most machine learning algorithms are suited for a particular problem. And the best way to find what machine learning algorithm fits a particular problem is to just see out there on the internet to see, hey, there's an algorithm that uses this that's mostly suited to fix this problems. And sometimes that could be the best option, or some of you may have learned machine learning through courses. So for instance, you want to detect spam classification. Is it spam or not spam? And you would have learned that it's best to use a classification algorithm. And within classification, you have different sets of algorithms that you can test out. So there's no particular rules, but I would the sort of guidelines that I've kind of focused, what I've said before is try solve it without using machine learning first, and if you can't do it, look at the problems that other people have solved, other algorithms they have used to solve a particular problem. And if that does not work, try use your intuition. For instance, using deep learning for photos, etc. So I would approach it at that sort of best practice. Yeah, but yeah, it's a very wide problem, and yeah, it can get a lot confusing if you don't know what you're doing. So approaching it in stages could be very helpful.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kimon. We have been joined by Tieno, so maybe he will introduce himself and hopefully help us answer this question too. Tieno.
Thanks, Ayla. So I'm happy to be here, and also happy to join the other who are already participated on this talk. So my name is Cherno Ibrahima Diop, and I work as a lead data scientist at BAM2, which is a startup in Senegal. So I mainly work on NLP, so speech recognition, text-to-speech translation, and so on. So I think the question is quite difficult and quite generic. I do like the proposition of Kimon on this. I think seeing whether we have a sample algorithm, which is not a machine learning one, because that's mostly what people do nowadays. But I think sometimes a sample algorithm can do the job, a mean, or just computing the mean of some of the inputs sometimes give you the right outputs. But yes, if that's not the case, I think to add on the inputs from Kimon, I would say having a sample baseline model also help. So before going to check complex algorithms. So just check simpler ones and see if they do good. And if even if that's not the case, you have a simple model that you can take as your baseline, and from there you can check more complex model to see if they will do better. Maybe another thing is to first check, identify, what is the kind of problem you are trying to solve, whether it's a regression problem, classification one, whether it's a multi-class or a multi-level one, whether you have complex data like image. Are you doing classification on image, or are you doing more complex stuff like segmentation on images, whether it's also that's also applicable in speech, for example, whether you are doing speech recognition is more complicated if you want just to do classification of some spoken term. So I think having it identifying the problem is very helpful, because after that you can search easily, as Given say, on the internet to see the relevant algorithm that people already use on those kind of problem, and see whether they fit or not on your data set, and trying from the simplest to the complex one. I think those really help. And also having a good metric, but this is a bit different of choosing the best algorithm, even though they are very related. But I think having a good metric also help on choosing the best algorithm for your needs. So yes, I think after identifying the problem, I think the next step would be also to check what metric would be a good substitute for what you really want to optimize as for your solution, and then trying different algorithm to see which one give you the best result. Yes.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Ken and Kimun, on that. Now over to you, Femi and baby Kimun. So what is the prospect of opportunities available to consider learning GCP? So if I am considering a Femi?
Okay, all right, great. I didn't hear the end of the question. So yes, some of the highest paying jobs, I'll start with the money, right? I'll start with the money. Some of the highest paying jobs in the world in IT are professional cloud architects, and it's because this is the current frontier side by side with machine learning. So you're more likely to be able to command a lot of value, right, as a cloud architect. And a cloud architect, again, you become that from building cloud solutions or architecting cloud solutions. So that's the money part of it. And they're in very, very, very high demand, both within the region and outside of the SSA region. They're in very, very high demand. The second thing is you also get to play a very, very critical role, in every medium to large scale to humongous projects, right? Which also then says you're going to have an exciting time learning, doing, and seeing some of the stuff that you're doing come to work. Think about any organization that gathers a lot of data, or creates a lot of data, or processes a lot of data, right? Such companies, organizations need really great guys in GCP, right? Because a lot of them are using GCP. A lot of services that we use, right, without naming names, run on GCP. And finding a gig, for want of a better word, is rather straightforward within it. So what I'm saying is you will be in demand, right? You'll be in demand, in high demand. And it goes across different levels, from junior to mid-level to senior to expert on the GCP platform. Think about any organization as well that has data centers or has different large-scale applications running. That also fits well into it, right? So you would be in high demand. I can't say it enough, right? I can't say it enough.
What about you, Kimon? So what do you think? What are some of the opportunities that are available out there?
One thing that I could say is that when you start learning GCP, you're not just learning Google tools, right? Because GCP uses lots of open source tools out there. And what you're doing is using the scalability and availability of Google's data center to run those open source softwares. So one thing that I could think outside my head is when you're using TensorFlow, it's an open source that is optimized for Google Cloud Platform that you can also use across different cloud providers like AWS and Azure. So when you're learning GCP, you're also learning the skill sets to also use and learn what's available on open source softwares out there. So like, for example, Google Dataflow uses an open source software, Apache Beam. So so that's one of the benefits. So it's not like you're just using Google tool and you just know Google tool. You also get to experience all the open source softwares that's out there. And the second sort of prospect I would think is that all the cloud providers have the similar sort of tool sets available. So when you do storage, what you call it, you're going to use S3 on AWS, whereas you're going to use GCS on Google Cloud, GCS Google Storage on the GCP platform. So you sort of, when you learn GCP, you also get the skills to know that, hey, I can use the skills across different cloud providers, which is also very beneficial to learning GCP. So it's not, it's the skills are, I would say it's incredible. And the opportunities, lots of companies out there are also hiring GCP architects as well. So yeah, the opportunities in learning GCP is immense. I can't stress that enough. Yeah.
Thank you, Kimoon and Femi. So there's a part where Awal is asking, can I be a GDE in three months if it takes 3 months preparation? Which now brings me to this question to you, Tiano. So how can I become proficient in machine learning? So I want to move from point A to Z. So what are some of the tips, guidance, and resources that you can point out some of our viewers to?
Okay, I think I just give my way through this, so I think it's easier because that really helped me a lot. Maybe I think also it will depend on the background of the person. So, for example, if you are already a developer, it's much easier to become a machine learning engineer, I think, than if you are coming from other domains that is not related to computer science. But I think the easiest thing here is to go through the MOOCs in the internet. I think there is no better way for me, I think, because they are very, very high resources. And also very high quality resources in the internet that one can use to really be proficient in machine learning. So, for example, if we take courses from like Coursera or even in Google, I think they have a good a good beginner course on machine learning. They call it machine learning crash course, I think. But yes, I think going through these courses and also practicing, because many of these courses have many exercises to do. For example, I have followed the Andrew Ng machine learning in Coursera course, and it's really very helpful, and they were very good practices to do. So, for example, you have to code many algorithms from scratch, and that really help to understand them. And from there, you have also many deep learning specialization courses also. For example, in Coursera, you have specialization on TensorFlow. So from A to Z, I would say. So I think those courses are really helpful to be proficient in machine learning, because you have to learn from the best, and also you have to practice with, very interesting exercises. And from there, you could be ready to start a journey in a company for like a data scientist junior, and I think you will have all the needed skills to begin with this, and from there, it's just about doing more, practicing more, learning every day. Because fortunately for us in machine learning, you have always something to learn, and that's really one part that I really like on this field. So I think yes, just going from through the MOOCs and practicing, I think there's no better way, I think, to be proficient in the machine learning space.
Okay. Yeah. I think very, very important. Continue practicing. Thank you so much. Would any of you maybe want to contribute something to this?
Yes, I did, right? So speaking directly to the 3-month question, so you could have already done, if you have already done a lot of work in this space and you've been sharing it out, then it's possible, right? One of the most important things around becoming a GDE, right? Even an expert in anything, right, in life, right, is consistency over an extended period of time, which could be 6 months, 9 months, a year, 5 years, 6 years, right? And to show that this is something that you really are passionate about and is something that you are capable of, and not just doing copying and pasting from Stack Overflow, right, for your articles, but it's something that you've clearly proven yourself to be solid and consistent. So yeah, it can happen in 3 months, but it's not like it started 3 months ago. You have a body of work already to sort of be the foundation of those next 3 months.
Yeah. Okay. Consistency is key. Thank you so much, Femi and Tiano. So on to the next. Kimon, this is to you. So what is the best path to become a data scientist?
Cool. So from my side, anyone can become a data scientist. People think that, oh, I need a degree in computer science in order to become a data scientist, which most people would agree. But personally, from myself, I would like to advocate that everyone can become a data scientist. Because let's, for instance, you come from a development background and you want to jump into machine learning. Google Cloud Platform caters for you guys who don't have that mathematic backgrounds, right? You can consume the APIs, train a model very quickly, use the AI platform that Google provides to you so that you can just say, here's my data, I want to use this algorithm, and I want to train it. I want to use something like Auto ML Vision, where I can just upload pictures of my, I want to classify different pictures. I just upload a picture, click a button to say, hey, I want to train this. Google will automatically train a model for you. And then you have a wrapped up model that's highly scalable in the form of APIs. And that to me is a data scientist, because you built a model, you train a model, and now you're serving a model. And that's one of the ways that I would recommend if you're not from a mathematics background or you don't have a degree in computer science. Another pathway to become a data scientist that Tiano kind of pointed out is to start with the courses, right? When you start with these courses, it's going to be difficult if you don't have that mathematics background, because you're going to be learning, functions, matrices multiplication, gradient descent, and you're going to be learning about vectors and scalars, and there's going to be lots of maths involved. So if you want to sort of go through that journey, Coursera, Udemy is sort of the best place to do it. And these courses are structured that you can take your time, you can understand what they are doing fully and go at your own pace, right? And then eventually you become a sort of a data scientist that you can sort of train up a model on TensorFlow very easily, etc. So I would say Google Cloud Platform provides a pathway to becoming data scientists, whether you have a background in mathematics or computer science and whether you don't. So it's up to you guys to decide which kind of area that you want to sort of go in. I don't know, Tiano, if you want to sort of jump in there. Want to hear your sort of opinion on what's the best path to become a data scientist.
I think I do like your your type of data scientists that use the cloud services to train models. I think that's a good way to begin with, and also a good way to end with if you just care about having a good model doing what you want. But I just wanted to, to put that that's a good way to do just that. But I mean, most companies, or not, if I would say all companies, if they want to recruit a data scientist, I think most of the time they are looking for someone who can do, more than that, understanding how it works. But yes, I think if, for example, I am someone who work on, agriculture, and I have some picture, I wanna just have a model that can do the job. Yes, I think that's really a good way to do what I want. I think there is no better way to be. That's really cool for people who are already on something and just want to apply data science on it. I think that's really a good way to do it. But yes, to be a data scientist in a company and working on many different, to have a role as a data scientist, I think one also need to learn, as you say, from the MOOCs and practicing, understanding a bit, or quite a bit of what is going on, to be able to propose new solution, and to be able to go through the existing solutions and modify them and so on.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kimun and Tiano. So over to you, Femi. You mentioned the word cloud architect when you were talking, but what exactly are some of the roles of a Google Cloud architect in a company?
Great question. So a cloud architect actually has many different responsibilities that they may have or carry within the company. And to be honest, the larger the organization or the systems, the more you need more cloud architects, because it covers so many different areas, right? So being a cloud architect means that you're responsible for the design of the infrastructure. And this is not like design of the database itself, but the design of the overarching infrastructure that the database run on, right? You may go to that level of being interested in the structure of the database itself, but um, infrastructure is like your primary focus. So what infrastructure are you putting in place? Is it going to scale? How are we going to scale? How are we going to ensure redundancy? Do we set up our infrastructure in two different regions, in Europe and in Cape Town, or sorry, in Dublin and in Cape Town, or in Lagos and in Nairobi? How do we set up the load balancer to ensure that traffic is evenly distributed, or do we set up edge caches to make sure that um, your customers or users can access the content really fast, right? So your role will cut across, again, infrastructure, which is then how everything is set up, your network, and then down to even your data, right? How to protect the privacy of information contained within it, how to ensure PI, personal identifiable information, personally, person, PI, right? Is protected, to ensure that it doesn't leak out. How to also ensure your costs, right? As an architect in my company, right, part of my role is to ensure our costs are um, pragmatic and well managed, right? To ensure you use the right kind of tools and third-party services for whatever the need is, right? And this is applicable regardless of what specific platform you're doing this, right? These are like the key key roles. And again, the bigger the scale of the project or the scale of projects that you're handling, then it makes sense to have more to people who focus on different areas. The cloud architect's responsibilities. I don't know if Kimun, you want to add anything to that, if you have any.
Yeah, just one thing. A Google Cloud Architect is most of the time people think it's someone who comes in and designs how the infrastructure is going to look like and stuff. But I like Femi's response. It's more than that. It's looking at what if things go wrong? How do you sort of make sure that your system doesn't go down? Is your backup there? Is your security there? Is your access and identity management there? Is your security keys being rotated? So yeah, it covers a whole lot, and it's sort of someone or a team that sort of maintains the software lifecycle within the company itself. So yeah, it's very broad, but I do agree with Femi. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Kimun and Femi on this. I guess many people are curious. You know, when you hear the word cloud architect, so many things come to mind, and you're curious what exactly does it entail. So thank you so much for the breakdown. Now, I think I'll hand this over to Akin. Either of you, feel free to take it up. Let's go with Kimun this time. Then Tiano will take up the next one. So, how best can we implement the use of cloud services by the young people, most especially students? So, I think this is in terms of somebody is maybe working on a project and they're trying to figure out where does cloud come in.
This is a very good question, because cloud services, when you think of it, first thing that comes to mind is, enterprises or big businesses use it. But in actual fact, it needs to be accessible by students, university students, or people who are learning from the start, in order to see what it entails and stuff. And my sort of recommendation would be, for students, is to ask your Google community lead to ask for Quick Lab access, right? Quick Labs is a course by Google that shows you how each of the product works on the Google Cloud Platform. And it also spins up a personal sandbox cloud environment for you, so that you can sort of play along with what the Quick Labs is teaching you. So for example, I want to learn how to spin up a compute engine. You go into Quick Labs will consume a credit, it will create a sandbox cloud environment for you, and then you can sort of play around within your sandbox. Because I wouldn't want students to use their credit cards and sign up for free trials, because I mean, Google Cloud is very powerful, and I've seen instances where hundreds of thousands of dollars have been consumed because of some error in the code and stuff. So I would recommend for students who are wanting to learn to use Quick Labs, and you can get Quick Labs code by asking your community lead, because they should be able to assist you in getting some credits for you guys. Femi, I don't know if there's another way that maybe the students can consume them, the cloud services.
That's you hit on the two, which is the Quick Labs, right? And Quick Lab has lots and lots and lots of courses that you can take. I use the opportunity for a quick plug for the Google Developer Group communities, right? They're all over. Just go to Google and search for GDGs, right? So they can reach out to the organizers for, again, the free credits, so that you can, or tokens, to use Quick Labs. And of course, the free tier, we've already mentioned it. It's $300. Last I checked, just a couple of hours ago. $300, so you can spin that up. But again, you have to be very watchful of the cost, so that you don't run up a bill when you exhaust your $300. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Femi and Kimun. Now, this is to you. I personally don't even understand the question, but How do I navigate a career change using machine learning in cloud technologies? I think this is to you, Tiana.
Let me understand the question correctly. How do I
Yeah,
navigate?
thank you. But I still want to like cut off other people's question. But I guess that the question focuses on how exactly can one navigate a career in machine learning. So how do they, what are some of the career opportunities? So when Fabi and Kimun they talked about opportunities for cloud enthusiasts. So what is it that exists for, ML enthusiasts?
Okay, so I think nowadays if machine learning is really it's really booming and it's very popular. I would say it's due to the cloud, because without the cloud, I think people like me would really have uh, big problem on doing machine learning, because when you do machine learning, it's nice and so, but you need data and you need compute. So, and compute is very expensive if you want to have your own servers in your home or in your company. So that's not really an easy thing to have. So cloud is, I would say, if you say people, let's say people say data is the fuel of machine learning. Cloud also, I would say it is also the fuel of machine learning, because if I just take an example, like in our company, we are doing machine learning in speech recognition and text to speech and so on, and you need really powerful computers to do the computation, because we use mainly deep learning, because deep learning uh, is the thing when you want to do those kind of things. So, and we use very much cloud. We have already used, I think, all the cloud providers to do deep learning, because of the credits we have from them. And also, it really helped us to do deep learning on those fields. So I would say, even if you are doing small thing, for example, one thing I would add, even in the cloud thing, is something I say to the students that want to do deep learning or machine learning, is just, even if you don't have a, a good computer, you just have a very low profile computer or even your mobile phone, use Google Cloud, and you can do machine learning and deep learning, because it's a computer that is running on the cloud that have GPU on them, and you can easily run one and begin to code. You don't have anything to install, uh, and you can do machine learning very easily with that. And that really help a lot of people I know or students to start doing deep learning and machine learning easily, and following the course and directly apply what they see. So yes, I think cloud is, I would say, one of the most important field of being able to do machine learning and deep learning for individuals, or and also startups and even companies nowadays, because I know big companies that are using cloud, like uh, telecom and companies that are using cloud to do machine learning and deep learning.
Interesting. Femia Kimon, anything to add on top? Okay. Again, this is to you. Don't run away, Tiano. This is to you. How can TensorFlow be combined with blockchain?
Oh, interesting. uh, I think I would say yes, TensorFlow. We can say TensorFlow, but machine learning in general, in deep learning, implemented in TensorFlow, I would say yes. But I have seen and heard of some very interesting use case of machine learning and deep learning in the blockchain environment. For example, people use machine learning and deep learning to do forecasting, so to know what would be the price of Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin is not blockchain is not only about Bitcoin, but it's the most popular one use case, at least. So people use it to forecast the price of Bitcoin in the future, so that they can know where to invest their money. But I would say people can also use machine learning in other stuff in blockchain, because I have done some blockchain back in the days. So, for example, people use blockchain to do smart contracts, so that they can check, they can have contracts that are
free of any other entities like we have in our governments. And I think, yes, I think machine learning could be useful on those cases to check whether a contract is whether whether the people you are doing this contract are really I mean are people that you can trust because of their historic and their contract and their smart contract and so on. But yes, I would say there are a lot of use cases in blockchain using machine learning, but I would say it would depend on what you want to do with them. But I mean, the most clear use case is just to forecast uh, currency. It's not just Bitcoin, you have Ethereum and so on.
Okay, thank you so much, Tiana. I think I'll now leave this to Kimoon and Femi, then we'll have the last question. Relate cloud computing with the various business functions in a software company. I feel like this is now an examination.
Yeah, so maybe I can have a stab at this. Very quickly, a software company would have your applications. It would have to host to do a particular function. So you would host your applications. So cloud computing, where would that come in? You would want to have a scalable solution, a website to host your software application. So you would have load balancers, you would have, which Google has, global load balancers. You would also have networking. And those networking would sort of, those softwares would be stored in something that would be scalable. So it could either be compute engine or Kubernetes containers. And then once you have those applications, they would need to sort of consume logics, business logic. And you can either create APIs, either using compute engine, something like Cloud Run or Kubernetes. And then you would need to store that sort of information in a form of a database. So you have NoSQL database like Mongo or Redis, or you can store it in like a SQL database such as MySQL, Microsoft SQL, etc. So that would sort of be your application sort of layer within a software company. If I think about maybe you want to do some billing and stuff, you can store that information in something like BigQuery to store all your transactions so that you can do some sort of machine learning on top of it. But this is very a broad overview of what happens in a software company and relating cloud computing with it. I don't know, Femi, if you have any additional comments that you want to add.
No, I don't. I think you've done justice to it from the understanding of the question.
Okay. Great. This is our final question that came from the audience. So which machine learning or cloud communities are there for one to join? Because all of you actually mentioned that you are part of one community or another. So let's start with Tiano. So which ML communities are maybe in Senegal and beyond would those on the call be keen on in joining, sorry?
Okay, so I would say come join Guys and AI. So that's one community I know of in Senegal that is active in AI and also in IoT also. But yes, I think globally I would say the new TensorFlow community. So the from that anyone can join and ask question, and you can have answer from GDEs, but also from people who work directly on TensorFlow. So yes, I would say that's a good community to join. Yes, I think globally that I would say that community. Maybe there exist other communities that I'm not aware of. So I will let the Femi and Kimon give their insight.
Okay, Femi.
Yes, Tiano, you're very right. So the TensorFlow communities and In some cases, right, the kind of community that exists is a broader or a mother group. For example, you could have GDG Lagos, and then they have specific um, themed events around machine learning or around cloud. Or you could have a subchapter like GDG Cloud Lagos, which then focuses on cloud only, and the entire community is filled with cloud. The answer again is to go to developers.google.com and click on the directory, and you have access. Sorry, click on groups, and then you have access to the entire directory of communities across the world. You can join them, right? You can join them. Uh, yeah.
Okay.
The two things to add is because of COVID, we've had generally fewer physical events, right? So while that may seem like a problem to one degree, it's not entirely so. What it also means is a lot of events are now live streamed or recorded and broadcast, which then means you can join an event in Singapore, you can join an event in Belgium, for example, or in London, right, from Nigeria, and actually participate, or from wherever you are, and participate in those events, and which would not be possible which may not be possible at this time if we're still doing mostly physical events. Only.
Okay, thank you. Kimon?
Yeah, Femi, go to the website that Femi, the developers.google.com, I think. Or one thing that you guys can also do is go to Meetup, meetup.com, and then search for GDG events, which most of them should be available. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Okay, thank you. I know we're out of time, but we have like maybe just 2 questions. Hopefully the speakers will still be able to do this. But we'll start with just one of Femi, you had mentioned that one needs to know, to understand some basic mathematics. So how much mathematics does one need to know before going into ML with GCP? Tieno or Femi or Kimon, any of you can take this up.
Okay, so I'll jump in and speak very quickly, and then Kimun can add to that. ML is quite broad, and there are different levels of ML, like Kimun mentioned, right? You can start off with things like AutoML that doesn't require to write, design the models, write the formulas yourself, or write the equations or the algorithm yourself. And that will automatically generate models for you once you feed it the data, before you then graduate to then writing out the other part. Your basic fundamental math is a good place to start from, and then you can grow from that point onwards. What I'm saying is, don't let the lack of a strong background in maths be the hindrance to getting started with ML, right? You will learn along the way.
Okay. Thank you, Tiana. Kimon, Femi, do you have anything to add to that?
One thing, sorry.
No, I was saying actually that was Femi, so
Yeah.
my English is not that good.
Okay, Femi.
Maybe from my side is, as Femi has said, see where your skill sets are and then try go from there. So if you have no backgrounds in mathematics, start from AutoML or machine learning libraries that Google provides for you, the APIs that's available to you, like Vision, NLP, speech to text. If you have some sort of mathematics that you want to get into, then you can start looking at using Jupyter Notebooks or Colabs and start writing functions using some TensorFlow libraries or Keras libraries, which is easy for you to start training your models. So you just specify your data set. This is the algorithm that I want to use, and just play it out. And if you are very good with maths, have some sort of mathematic backgrounds, then you can go deeper into the model building itself. So you can control everything, such as how many neural networks you want to implement, what sort of gradient descent algorithms that you wanting to use. So yeah, you can. It really depends on your skill set, but Google caters for whatever skill sets you have, which is the cool thing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Kimun. The last question was maybe if each of you could just tell us what are some of the benefits that you have observed ever since you became a JDE. It was a general question on what the benefits are, but maybe you could just, let everyone know as we wrap up. So who will start with Femi?
Yes, it would be the connection to amazing people like Tiano and Kimun. It's a very, very rich network of people that can help solve a problem from a simple conversation, right? There's a wealth of experience that I'm usually able to dig into to get answers to questions. That is one benefit I'll say.
Okay, thank you, Femi. Tiano?
Apart from that, I would say having the possibility to do what you really want. I mean, when you join the GDE, is to spread the knowledge and share with people, and also learn from the others. I think that would be also the next point I would add.
Okay, thank you, Tiano. And Kimun?
Yes, from my side, I think the one perk of becoming a GDE is having access to the product owners of whatever field that you want to become in. So, for example, if I want to contribute or I have issues with a Cloud Run, I have access to Cloud Run. And another perk is once a year before COVID, there used to be a GDE summit that all the GDEs could go. So it was a paid for by Google so that GDEs can attend the summit, and it usually be hosted maybe all over the world. But yeah, unfortunately, COVID did not allow us to travel. So yeah, but before COVID, that was also one of the perks of becoming a GDE.
I guess everybody loves traveling. Yeah, so our time is up. I am super grateful to the three of you for joining us and also to the attendees for joining and staying until the end, for those who stayed. The recording, the video will still be up on YouTube. Just feel free to go through if there's a point you missed out or if there's a point you want to reference to. Thank you so much to our speakers, and let's have parting shot. This is going to be the end, but thank you so much and do have a fantastic rest of the day. Tiano, Kimun, Femi, any parting shots?
Thank you. It was a pleasure for me.
Okay, thank you, Tiano.
Thanks, everyone. I hopefully want to see
you.
more GDEs in the future. So yeah, please, if you want to become a GDE, start now.
Okay, start now. Yeah, Femi?
Yes, and from me, it would be that don't be afraid to put yourself out there, right? Every single person you see on this call isn't a know-it-all. There's so many things we don't know, right? So we're learning every day, right? And we didn't have to become a super dictionary or Bible of this specific technology that we're experts in before we became an expert. It's everything mixed together from engagement to experience to knowledge sharing that we've done, and you can start, right? Reach out to communities around you, speak at events, and things will work out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much and do have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and broadcast.